Hello and welcome to Radical Living. I'm your host, Shoeless Joe, and today we are talking about when your kids get lots of gifts for Christmas, what's a minimalist to do?
Last Christmas, I gave you some socks.
I got a comment on one of my videos from Kitten Ella saying, how do you handle getting rid of toys that your kids get as gifts? My husband and I have an 8-month-old who was veritably showered with gifts this Christmas. I know our son doesn't need them all, but I feel really bad about getting rid of things that family and friends have given to him. Kit and Ella, thank you so much for this comment. I think this really touches on an issue that really a lot of minimalists deal with, right? We might be really good at getting rid of the things that we've bought over time and like paring down to exactly what we think we need. And then Christmas comes, right? And especially if you have kids, people start showering them with gifts, and you get all this stuff, and then it's yay, and then Christmas is over, and now you don't even look like a minimalist anymore. And most importantly, you don't feel like a minimalist. But what's a minimalist to do, right? I mean, you really love your family and friends, and they maybe spent a lot of money or worked really hard trying to figure out what to get, and now you have all this stuff, and you know you don't need it, and you don't want it, but you have it, and now what? Well, my first piece of advice would be to, before any of this happens, if you can, kind of preemptively strike by letting your family and friends know maybe what criteria you have for toys. Maybe ask them not to get anything, to maybe just donate to their college fund or something like that. Or maybe ask for experiences for gifts for your kids. This is a really good one. Ask for, tickets to the zoo or to some kind of, something like that. Maybe a day out doing crafts or something. Crafts? What? A day out doing crafts? What, is that a thing? I don't know what kids do. A day out at the park with ice cream, something like that can be experienced once and then there's nothing left over. So that's what I would suggest first for minimalist parents. Talk with your family and friends. Let them know your criteria ahead of time. Make your requests. Maybe even just say, hey, you know what? Maybe just ask me first before you get them the gift, and I'll let you know whether that's something we want in our house. But that's not the main point of the video. The main point of this video here is, what do we do once we have those sort of unwanted gifts, right? Those extra toys that we just don't need in the house, that our kids don't need. We want to foster their creativity, not their consumability. So the first thing that we often have to address is our own feelings, our own sense of guilt. So in order to do this, we want to go back to the very beginning and ask ourselves, what was the purpose of this gift? Why did they give this gift to our kids? Probably the main reason is they wanted our kids to be happy, right? They wanted to add value to our kids' life. And often, in general, in that moment when the kid opened the gift and was so excited and having fun, they probably achieved that goal, that purpose. They probably made that child happy for the moment, right? Gave them that sense of excitement and also the sense of feeling loved. Also, people who give our kids gifts usually want our kids to have lasting happiness, right? They want them to have lasting growth and lasting love. And we as the parents are the ones who decide what adds value to our kids' lives. It's up to us to choose what toys that they have that will bring them fulfillment and also foster their creativity, rather than hindering it or bogging them down or making them, become materialistic or anything like that. Gifts should not ever come with strings attached. There should not be this sense of guilt or responsibility, like, I'm giving you this gift, now you have to keep it for X amount of years, you have to use it, you have to love it, you have to enjoy this gift, right? We just give gifts to people, and we should say, you know what, here's a gift. Whatever happens, happens. You like it, you don't like it, you use it, you lose it, whatever it goes, goes. Now, in general, people who give gifts probably aren't intending for those strings to be there, right? If you were to ask them, well, to accept this gift, do I have to keep it for a certain amount of time? They would probably be like, well, no, I'm giving it to you, do whatever you want. But there's still this sense of responsibility or expectation that you will keep it and use it. And you know what? You're just going to have to get over it. You're going to have to let that feeling go. I mean, think about it. What if that toy were to break? What if they gave you this gift, it's a toy, your kid's so excited, then a week later, it just completely breaks in half, it crumbles, you step on it in the middle of the night or something like that. The older brother shaves off the Barbie's hair, you know the drill. Would the gift giver then be angry or offended if you were to say, you know what, this toy's broken, I'm just going to get rid of it? No, I don't think they would. They would probably say, well, yeah, that's understandable. Why? Because it's no longer serving its purpose. They want to help to enrich your kid's life. And if their gift is not doing that, then I think they should understand if you want to let that gift go. So I would say we just need to let go of that guilt, that sense of obligation, and say, is this serving the purpose that they wanted of enriching my kid's life? If not, then you know what? We need to find that gift a new home. Donate it to a thrift store. Sell it online. Find another kid who would really get a lot out of that gift rather than hoarding it for ourselves when we don't even want it. And what you want to do is just ask yourself, what's the absolute worst thing that can happen if I do let this thing go? I mean, the worst thing that can happen is that it probably might make things a little awkward, right? They come over to your house and the toy that they gave you is gone, and they're like, whoa, hey, where's that toy I gave you? And they'll say, Daddy got rid of it. At least that's what happens to me. Daddy got rid of it. It's a common phrase in this household. And if it is something that you're worried about them kind of finding out or seeing that the toy's gone, you might just want to talk to them before that happens and just say, hey, just want to let you know we got way too many things for Christmas, so we had to let some things go, but we really appreciate the gift. You know, they really enjoyed opening them, but we just couldn't keep them all. Another tactic that I think is awesome to use is, especially with family and friends, if they give your kid a gift, I think it's great to say, oh, thank you so much. You know, we got so many gifts this year. Is it okay that we keep this toy here at your house for when we come over to visit? And this tactic is genius on multiple levels. First of all, it's really practical. It actually is helpful, especially when other people who don't have kids and you bring your kids over to their house and their kids have nothing to do. It's really nice. And I know people will say, oh, bring your own toys, but kids get bored of their own toys sometimes. So it's nice to say, you know what? Why don't you keep this here? You have a nice set of toys. So when I bring my kids over, they've got these new toys to explore, then they'll forget about them. And, it'll be fun and exciting every time we come over. And it's also great because then you'll find out if they think this toy is worth keeping. Sometimes, they give your kid a toy and you open it and you're like, great. And then it's something that's like really obnoxious, makes a lot of noise. Those things that you push all the buttons and they make all the sounds. I mean, who really wants to spend all day listening to? No one. So if you ask someone, oh, thanks for this gift, can we leave it here for when we come over? And they're like, stored at my house? I couldn't possibly. And that's when you're like, yeah, if you won't keep it at your house, why would I want it at mine? And depending on the level of your age of your kids, you want to start as young as you can, letting them know that just because they get all this stuff for Christmas doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be able to keep it. And some people think that this is like really horrific and really bad parenting on my part. They think it's terrible that if your kid gets something, then they should have ownership of that. They should be able to keep it. And who are you to just tear that away from them? Now, first of all, I don't just tear things away from my kids. I try to go about it in the best loving, best parental way possible. I bring things up. We don't really have space for this here, or I notice you haven't really been playing with this. Often I'll just bring it up to them, like, hey, you've got a lot of these. I noticed you haven't been using this lately. Maybe we should get rid of it. And sometimes I'll just give them the choice between some different things, like, hey, you've got too many dolls or too many trucks. How about you pick just one or two to hang on to and we'll get rid of the rest? So which ones would you like to keep? So I focus it on the positive there so they can find the ones that they want and then let the rest go. But sometimes I will just lay down the law and say, you know what, this toy makes way too much noise, or this book has a moral that I don't approve of, or whatever the reason. And I'll say, you know what, I'm sorry, executive decision, it's gotta go. And I think we really lost that sense of the parent has the final say. The parent should be the one deciding what's best for their kids. My kids can't make that decision for themselves at this age. And also, the people giving them the gifts aren't in the best place to know what's best for my kids. So we as parents should really take that heart when it comes to gifts. And, once Christmas is done, we need to ask ourselves, what's more important, my feelings or the feelings of the people that gave the gifts? Or the upbringing of my kid and the enrichment of their lives. And hopefully when we frame it that way, we realize that it's much, much more important that we raise our kids the best way that we know how, rather than just living out of guilt and saying, well, I really thought that you should have had less toys, but I felt bad, or I felt guilty. And I promise it's not going to be a huge deal for people that gave gifts if you start letting them go. A lot of times they won't even notice. And if it is a huge deal, if they're getting really offended or angry, that's time to really sit down and have a conversation and say, I don't want gifts if there's going to be strings attached. So if you're going to give me or my kids gifts, I need to know that I'm completely free to do with those gifts as I see fit. So for all of you parents out there, I want to call you out. It's your job and no one else's to decide what comes into your house and what stays there. It is your job to get over the fact that Aunt Betty or Uncle Steve might be a little offended or disappointed because you got rid of something. It doesn't matter. In the grand scheme of things, what matters is your kids. It is your job as a parent to make your house into a sanctuary of balance, simplicity, and harmony. In today's culture, it's so hard to do this. There's so many outside forces, whether it's the media, our friends, family, coworkers, all of these people kind of implying or telling us directly that we should have certain things in our house, we should accept things a certain way. But we don't have to. We can question these norms and decide for ourselves how we want to live, even if it makes some other people a little uncomfortable. Thank you so much for watching, and let us know in the comments below what you do or how you deal with kids' gifts that are given to you as a minimalist or as someone who's just trying to be more intentional with the way that they live. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, keep it simple, question everything, and stay radical.
If you don't like the gifts you get that much, then maybe you should go buy our toys, 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 buy our merchandise. Buy our toys, 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 buy our toys. You forgot Flurry Heart. Flurry Hearts now. You forgot Flurry Heart. Flurry Heart. There are 5 prints. Yeah, Flurry Heart. Flurry Heart is now. If you include Flurry Heart is outcome. Francis Flurry Heart. Yo, Flurry Heart. They call the baby of Cadence is the first that born.
And more importantly, you don't feel like a mini-me. Why am I? Oh my gosh, you can't even like see me. How you handle with gift for Hijo, a sanctuary of simplicity and love and no. Yahoo! Seriously, how hard could this be?